There we go. Like perfect. Hello everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is so awesome to be back. It's been too long. I think it was like a couple of weeks already? Two, 3 weeks, bro. We've just been having like non-stop scuff, and it's absolutely been an absolute drag being unable to stream properly, but thank you to Sunder Cobra's generous donation of a whole new PC. We should be having absolutely no issues going forward. Welcome back. Thank you so much, Vasali. Hello, man. How you doing? Hope you're having an amazing day. It is so good to be back, man. I missed you guys too much. It's been all so lonely with having nothing to do with my afternoons. Oh well, but hey, I'm back now, so all is well. And unfortunately, hello, Kazidao, hello. Unfortunately, it is 38 degrees today. Like 38 degrees Celsius. It is cooking here. Like I stood outside and I just put like cracked an egg in my hand, put it in the sunlight, and it just sizzled, man. It actually cooked right there. Like, it's so hot, I needed to put my washing underneath a tap of water just to dry it without burning. Like, just being consumed by the fire. It is actual death out here, man. February, unfortunately, came early for us in the southern hemisphere. +7 here. Oh, goodness me. Diabolical. So yeah, 38. Oof. I dread for what February has in store. Usually that's the hottest month for us. 7 Celsius, I'll take that any day. 38 degrees Celsius is death. Anything above 20 and I immediately begin to die. But we're almost hitting 40? That's crazy. Maybe there is global warming. Maybe. Alright, boys. Let's get into the video. Let me just put my headphones on, though. Okay, they're on. Hold up, I actually forgot to fix the audio. Hold up. Brave audio. There we go. It should work. Let's check.
This universe, we see how much the Dragonborn has corrupted.
Hold up. I knew something was wrong. One summer with 38 degrees, it was hell with humidity. Dude, that sounds like absolute death. I would unironically just die if that was me. I would just straight up just sizzle and fizzle and just cease to exist. That is too much, man. I do not know how you people can possibly survive. I saw maidens wear... Holy, that is loud. Thank you so much for the bids, Javi.
Just used 100 bits. Saw maidens wear...
Okay, well, speaking of maidens, if you guys didn't realize, in the Go Live notifications, I've got how to get maidens ultimate crash course. So, I assume Javi was, kind of noticed that in the Go Live notification. Also, thank you so much for popping in. Thanks for the bits, I appreciate it. But yeah, guys, I'm offering a Get Maidens ultimate crash course for those of you who would like to know my delicious secrets. When will a private Underworld Fox be delivered, by the way? Wait, what? Private Underworld Fox? What does that mean? I do not know. Huh? What are you talking about? So yeah, I may occasionally drop some advice, on how to get maidens. You're duplicating 9. There's only one of me. Step 1 into how to get maidens. Avoid anyone with blue hair. That is number 1. You can't fix her. There is no fixing her. She's broken. That is it. Blue hair should be your red flag. And all the chatters get their own femboy fox. 9.
His own blood.
Oh yeah, so this is what if the Dragonborn became the Vampire Lord after the Dawnguard. You can teach us how to be a femboy? 9. I know nothing about being a femboy. Because I'm like a Giga Chad. I'm the manliest of all men. I mean, look at me. Look how handsome and chadly and manly I am. Yeah. I don't know if you guys know, but in the Dawnguard DLC, for those of you who haven't played Skyrim, basically this Vampire Lord wants to turn off the sun, like it's a light switch, so that the vampires can basically reign supreme. And you get the option to become a vampire during that quest line. But yeah, anyways. You also find the best NPC in the whole franchise, Serana. Also, for some reason, I always read this as Hoff-Finger instead of Hoffengar.
It is said that
Valkyrie.
Skyrim was forged in fire and war.
That is true.
Here, after defeating Alduin and Mirak, the Dovahkiin drank Harkon's blood and rose as
To
a
hell with the
vampire
freaking lamp,
lord.
lol. I mean, it's 38 degrees. I could also use some time out on that sun, man. It's blistering out here.
The ice shattered and night fell, not just for a day. After Serana's awakening and all the events that led to Harkon's downfall at Castle Volkihar,
Including that one time where there was only one bed at the inn. Serana was cold that night, let me tell you.
the Dovahkiin, now possessing the immortal blood of the Nightborn, is chosen by all as the clan's new leader.
Ooh.
This leaves a mark on his soul, once touched by Akatosh, now consumed by the presence of Molag Bal.
I mean, y'all ever seen the meme of that one white lady who's surrounded by the black dudes on the couch? That's basically the Dragonborn when it comes to all of these Daedric lords. Bro's doing everyone's dirty work.
The draconic and pure vampiric heritages united, creating in the Dragonborn a spirit of dominance never before seen.
And you can also become a werewolf. Add that to that. You have an abomination.
Sitting on the throne of Volkihar, the Dragonborn raises the morale of the vampires, who cease operating in the shadows and begin to dominate nearby fortresses and small towns, even if quietly transforming the Jarls and Thanes of Hofengar and Yalmarch into vampires.
Please. Please get rid of Nazim. Please, anything.
Thus were born the Volkihar Holds, territories ruled by vampiric bloodlines loyal to the Dovahkiin,
Okay,
yet responsible for a
I can see
hold,
this happening.
and united under the blood oath called the Crimson Pact.
Ooh. I wonder what the
These
pact
holds now have
entails.
a new lord, centered on the Daedric darkness of Molag Bal. From the ruins
Molag
of Castle
Bals.
Volkihar, a new government arose. Beneath the blood-soaked moon, the Dragonborn declared the creation of his Legion of Immortals. The Crimson Legion of Volkihar, as they became known, were the Empire's former legionaries, now embraced as children of the night.
I wonder how this would affect the relationship between the Empire and the Elves if all the Legionnaires are being turned into vampires. Maybe it'll give them the fighting edge to overthrow the Elves once and for all. Maybe turning to the dark side is what humanity needed in this timeline. Who knows?
Even though these maneuvers were veiled and undeclared, things done in the dark cannot be completely unexposed.
True, true.
This reaches the Dawnguard, and the faction prepares to launch a massive attack and appeals to the remaining Jarls of Eastmarch, Falkreath, Winterhold, the Reach, the Rift, and the Pale.
Does it count as a civil war if half the civilian population is vampires fighting with the human half? Does it count, or the vampires are not considered civilians? I actually don't know.
Their plan was to definitively eliminate the vampire threat from the world and prevent the vampires' next advance on the previously untouched hold, Whiterun. Strategically, even for a vampire army, a surprise attack on Whiterun would be suicide. The neighboring hold of the Reach could launch a surprise attack as soon as the invaders engaged the hold.
That's
Battle
true.
would therefore require a completely different approach.
I mean, the Reach is, if I'm not mistaken, it's like one of the most fortified places, right? I think Falkreath is like just smack dead in the woods, but the Reach has got these like dwarven fortresses going on over there, and Whiterun has just got plains on all sides. It's built onto a basically miniature hill, so assaulting both is probably going to be a very tall task. But Whiterun does have that area that the werewolves used to get in and out of. There's a little passageway that leads up into that little place thingamabob where they do the werewolf ritual. I forgot what it's called, but there is a tunnel that you can sneak inside the city with.
Living in the Reach were the Forsworn, who undeniably saw vampires as invaders of their ancestral homeland and subjugators of the Earth's spirits.
True, true. I can see
Sent
that
by the
happening.
Dragonborn, a mystical leader emerged among them, a druidic prophet, claiming the Dragonborn was the dark incarnation of the ancient goddess Namira, the Lady of Decay. Under this twisted belief, some of the
Oh, okay. This is actually pretty genius because they're, let's be honest, the Forsworn are kind of religious loonies, so I guess, you know, passing on a little twist on their beliefs to try and make the Dragonborn appear in a different light would actually be a pretty smart move on this front.
Forsworn allied themselves with the vampiric regime, receiving impure gifts of vampirism and becoming the children of the Red Marsh, hybrids of blood and rot. However, other Forsworn resisted this idea and began to confront the corrupted Forsworn in occasional battles for the hold.
Get the enemy to divide themselves, to weaken themselves. Looks like the vampires are winning, though.
Casting a veiled instability in the Reach, the Dragonborn's red eyes were on Whiterun. Surrounded by Dawnguard armies allied with werewolf companions, it would not be an easy battle.
Definitely not. I assume they just win, right? Do they just take the whole hold? Yeah, it looks like the Reach is completely just gone. They did not last long. I guess Division was definitely the right tactic to go for, considering how fortified they can be. Does Whiterun hold? Does the hold hold? The hold is holding the hold. Also, there's like a whole lot of bandits out there in Whiterun you could probably recruit to your side. Looks like they're chipping into Falkreath as well. But there's basically nothing in Falkreath, so it's fine. There's a couple of werewolves down there too, though. Wow, this is a very slow progression. I guess werewolf really do make a difference when it comes to fighting off the vampires. But with the reinforcements from the Reach, I'm not sure they'll be able to hold. Yeah, it looks like they're getting consumed. I feel like if the holds were under attack like this, I feel like the Empire would have just sent in like a bazillion legionnaires, though, to fight this off. Because I'm pretty sure they don't want to all be vampires. I could be mistaken, you know, because it did say that they were turning some of the legionnaires into vampires, but I'm pretty sure if Whiterun was under attack, I can imagine Cyrodiil at least sending in some reinforcements to try and get the area under control. Because if the vampire army just completely takes over Whiterun, they will probably just slowly march all over the place until their numbers eventually outnumber the humans. Sure, eventually, you know, they'll clap the elves' cheeks, but at what cost? The smart move would be to call on the aid of the elves to stop it. Make it seem as a really, really huge threat and let them die. Assuming they'd even listen to you, though. At least I think so, I don't know. I do not know much about battle tactics to know. Plus this is fantasy. Who can say? Who can say? I actually don't remember where the Dawnguard is situated. I'm pretty sure it's like East March? I could be wrong. Yeah, there's less than half of Whiterun left here. Oh, big gains over there. Oof. Looks like the capital's about to fall. Rip to Whiterun.
The other holds help with supplies.
Imperial Legion, I assume this is from the Imperials from Cyrodiil. Maybe he actually thought similar lines that I did, you know, where the capital of Cyrodiil will see, you know, the emerging vampire threat and sending the Imperial Legion from Falkreath over into Whiterun to try and hold off the vampire advance.
But in Eastmarch, the Stormcloaks regroup and launch their attack against the vampires. On Skyrim's southern border with Cyrodiil, Imperial Legion troops appear in Falkreath, reinforcements from the Emperor.
As I predicted. Not pre-watched, as I predicted. And that would probably be It would be really interesting if the Stormcloaks from Eastmarch and the Imperial Legion met at the edges of Whiterun and into the Reach and started fighting side by side against the elves. Not the elves, sorry, against the vampires. Would kind of be like that scene from Lord of the Rings, you know, with the elven dwarf, and they're like, never thought I'd find myself fighting alongside an elf, and then he says, how about side by side with a friend? Aye, I can do that. There will probably be similar energy if the two armies do converge.
The Jarl of the Reach swears the oath of the Crimson Pact, and the Forsworn are integrated into the holds as cultists of the Dragonborn, responsible for preserving what they call the Path of the Blood. The Thalmor now view Skyrim as a lost province. The Civil War, their instrument of instability, had ceased due to the vampire crisis. But the disaster wrought in the region was greater than their elven powers could withstand. With several Thalmor justiciars being pursued and killed, the Thalmor retreat and leave the province.
You're just delaying the inevitable. And ironically, if this was such a threat and I was even an elf, I would come in there with the entire armada and just glass half the country. Well, province, I suppose. Because once it takes over the entire human region, assuming that is an eventuality, you will have a far bigger problem on your hand. Looks like they're doing some gains over here. When are the Wizzies from Winterhold gonna help out? Oh, looks like they did. There's a little green patch here from the wizards. Nice, nice. I actually wonder where Saran is in all this. Does she support this, or does she go completely against the Dragonborn side here? That is a real question we gotta ask ourselves. You know what this actually reminds me of? Plague Inc. for some reason. Oof. They're making some massive gains now. I'm surprised the Imperial Legion response was so small though. This seems like such a very vast problem. I thought they'd send more. Maybe just the war with the elves crippled their ability to send in reinforcements. Who knows? Yeah, it looks like Falkreath is going to get ripped and shredded down there. Falkreath is probably one of the easiest provinces to take over because it's so sparse. Yeah, sure, there's also Winterhold, but Winterhold has the wizards. Also, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there some guy in Dawnstar or somewhere around the Pale who could cure vampirism? I'm pretty sure, right? Yeah, you could probably do some converting there. Maybe he could help you out, you know? Guys, should I do a Skyrim playthrough on stream? I feel like I should. Goated game, by the way. Oh wow, Falkreath pushing back, nice. Dun, 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 dun. It's probably one of my favorite soundtracks in all of Skyrim, this right here. This is post-Alduin, yeah? Yes, it is. Okay. Is that the Whiterun hold is about to be completely overrun? Falkreath's at least gaining some ground there. I'm surprised. Maybe the Imperial Legion is actually pulling their weight. Vibe, yeah. The music is pretty vibey. Not gonna lie, Fasali. I don't see how they can take over Winterhold though, even if they have the numbers. Aren't these like omega powerful wizards, right? Oh, they just like fireball their way? I'm pretty sure vampires aren't like fire, right? But I do imagine once Whiterun falls, the rest of the provinces are probably going to suffer from immense supply shortages, because that's basically the trading hub of Skyrim, Whiterun. It's got, like, I think, the most farms, it's just got the most produce, just general goods and supplies you need to keep a country fed. Once Whiterun falls, it's going to be probably significantly harder to mount any sort of offense against the vampires. And it's also important that the vampires also get Whiterun, because they can make their little human cattle, shall I put if they were smart, work to the bone, producing produce to essentially feed themselves, to fat themselves off with blood. Because you don't want to kill off everything as a vampire, or turn everything to vampires, because then you're all going to starve because, you know, no blood. At least I think that's how it goes. If I'm not mistaken, that's how the vampires in Skyrim work. They need blood to live. I could be mistaken, but I think mechanically in the game you just get like minor debuffs in the sun, or whatever. Probably a good idea just to get human cattle. And if you can control the food supplies, big W. Oh wow, Imperial Legion finally doing work. Oh, never mind.
Battle for Whiterun. Isran and several Dawnguard leaders are killed.
Oh man, the goated Isran. What a legend. F in chat for Isran.
The few who remain regroup at Fort Dawnguard and begin helping refugees flee to Morrowind near its borders. Several companions, such as Aela, Vilkas, and Farkas, fall, but those who refuse lycanthropy are transformed into vampires, corrupting Ysgramor's memory. The main challenge of fighting the vampires is their ability to expand their armies simply by turning their own defeated enemies to the side of vampirism.
That is true. Wow, Imperial Legion's actually doing some stuff here, not gonna lie. Props to the Imperials. Can't remember, my vampires are so modded they don't say any of them. Yeah, that is true. The basic game of Skyrim does leave a lot wanting, so it's more than understandable. People are going to mod in a whole bunch of stuff, you know, to add in some good quality of life options and gameplay, etc. Oh, looks like the Imperial Legion's a bunch of useless Mamparas. They're getting their cheeks clapped again. As to be expected. Rip to Whiterun. It's just literally just this tiny little slice of cheese here in the middle. Also the pale is basically almost gone too. I actually wonder if in this whole thing, if the Dragonborn is actually fighting on the front lines. I'm pretty sure he'd basically solo everybody in the entirety of Skyrim in any case. This would probably be over a lot sooner if it was. Oh, go my Imperial... Oh, never mind, they lost ground again. Useless Mamparas. Absolutely useless. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Never mind, they're making ground. They're gaining, they're gaining. Is Belgroove dead? I don't remember. I think he might have died. And rip to the lost holdouts of the Pale. Wow, that is huge ground covered by the vampires. I'm pretty sure it should grow exponentially, because the more numbers they get, just the stronger their army is, the more territory they take over, and it'll just be incredibly harder to stop as time goes on. Yeah, no more Pale left, boys. I wonder what the vampire answer is to Winterhold. That place is basically just a couple of broken houses and a giant wizard fortress. Good luck getting through there. Although it is possible that there are some mages in Skyrim that could turn to vampirism as well. That is a good possibility. Maybe they could offer some magical support. Maybe we can hire the Thieves Guild to steal some coppers. You know, disrupt the supply lines.
With the Imperial Legion defeated, Falkreath surrenders.
Oh, rip. So does the whole place just turn red? Seems so. Yeah, the whole place just turned red. Damn.
The assassins of Sithis believe in the void and primordial chaos, but Molag Bal seeks dominion and enslavement. Cicero and Astrid's followers are hunted down and destroyed, as the Dovahkiin consider Sithis a dangerous rival to their supremacy.
I actually didn't even consider the Dark Brotherhood as a factor in all of this. Interesting that he actually brought it out. Props to him.
However, part of the Brotherhood survives in secret. They begin to worship the Dragonborn as the son of the void himself.
Oh goodness me.
A new god.
Never mind then.
Death, blood, and eternity, giving rise to a new sect, the Bloodthirsty of Volkihar.
So what are they? Instead of the Dark Brotherhood, it's the Red Brotherhood? Maybe, who knows? Rest in peace, my beautiful Rift. I wonder when he's going to mention the wizards. I want to get to the wizards. That's my favorite part. How does Vampire counter Fireball? Or maybe they have a couple of garlic spells in there. You never know. You never know. Only 3 provinces remain, chat.
Ulfric Stormcloak refuses to bow. He declares that Skyrim belongs to the children of Shor, and that Nordic blood will never mingle with the blood of darkness.
Base. This is why Ulfric is the true High King of Skyrim.
Ulfric himself confronts the Dovahkiin in the Palace of Kings.
Poetic.
Ulfric's tomb is silenced, and the rebel's body is raised, transformed into the Guardian of Windhelm, the Pale Champion, eternal servant of the Throne of Night.
I actually wonder about this. Once you're turned into a vampire, does that mean your morals and character automatically change to align with the vampire faction, to use loose words? That is an interesting question to consider. Like, once you're turned into a vampire, do you immediately just become this blood-crazed nincompoop that wants to turn everyone else into vampires? Debatable? Yeah. Because imagine someone like Ulfric Stormcloak, if he gets turned into a vampire, I don't imagine he would give up his character consistency for wanting Skyrim to only belong to the uncorrupted blood of the Nords. He would probably just still fight the vampire threat, and maybe look to get himself cured. At least that's what I think going on here. So I actually don't know how vampirism in the Elder Scrolls universe affects someone's character. It was brought up in some media in different settings. Yeah. There's various literature and media that covers this question. I'm wondering specifically for Skyrim, since I have absolutely no idea. And I assume the creator of this video just, picked a reason out of a hat. I don't know.
The few human
I see.
and elven strongholds fell.
We don't have a choice.
Winterhold.
I think it depends on the individual force of will self, but yeah, it's hazy. Yeah. We need some good vampire literature again, boys, and not this, what was that really cringe mid-2000s vampire series? That had Taylor Lautner in it as the werewolf. And when they break, there's like shiny concrete. What was it called? Twilight? Yeah. Dude, what was that garbage? We need real stuff.
Became a beacon.
Apparently there is now a huge demand for male fantasy and sci-fi writers because publishers just don't publish their work and everything else is some smutty garbage fanfic.
Of unholy magic. And it's
like you go to the fantasy store and all the new books circa like 2020 onwards is basically just Morning Glory milking farm.
Masters created portals that connected directly to Oblivion. When the threat arrived in the Rift, Brynjolf and Carlia realized that resistance was suicide. In exchange for their lives and fortunes,
of course, they'll keep the booty.
The guild began serving the Vampire Lord as an organization of espionage and political influence. Unlike the Lords of the Rift, who still supported a resistance against the undead.
What about the Winterhold College? Oh, what about that one guy in Skyrim who knows how to kill vampires? Oh, not kill, cure vampires. Milking from goon. Nah, bleh, how dare you? Rip Stormcloaks. I think after this, the vampires should likely go after Cyrodiil, considering it's basically the capital of Skyrim, and they have positions of power that directly control the Legion, which will probably give them access to a lot of political control first, especially with, you know, the Thieves Guild on their side, providing certain bonuses in that field, I'm sure. And then from there, they would basically control Hammerfell, Morrowind, and High Rock, and then they would probably go after the Elves later, and then on to the other continents. Very interesting questions, though. And so the rift is about to fall on these nuts. But actually, I probably would start with Winterhold and then go south. First, take all of the north. I mean, if you're able to take Winterhold first, like, in terms of body count, that's pretty low. But assuming you pull it off, you have access to some pretty powerful magic casters. You know, vampires are pretty adept at magic from what I can see in Skyrim. But having the College of Winterhold on your side would probably be a big boost. I would actually go from, I wouldn't go south. I'd actually go, what's this direction? West. Because these territories are a lot easier to conquer than Eastmarch or Whiterun. So I'd first go to, you know, the Dawnstar down in the Pale. Then I'd go, you know, to the swamps. And then I would go to Solitude. Then I would go to, oh geez, what's this place? Not Falkreath, the other one. Markarth, I think? Here we go. Take over Markarth, and then go all the way down here. I think that's probably the plan. And once you get Farkarth, you can probably just steamroll through Whiterun. That's how I do it, but, you know, is what it is. Goodbye, Rift. That was nice knowing ya. Maybe they will now add a sequel, The Lusty Algonian Vampire. You never know.
What remained of Fort Dawnguard was obliterated by vampires. Some humans and elves managed to retreat to Morrowind, leaving their doomed home behind.
And now we have Vampire Rim. As Vampire Lord plus College of Magic on the way, because mages, that's true. And that way we will cut 2 heads off the command east and west. Yeah.
The Tyranny of the Sun, however, was not used by the Dragonborn, even though he possessed Boreal's bow and Serana's blood.
Which, by the way, is smart. If you take out the sun, basically all the plant life die, which means you can't feed the animals and the plants, which means you can't feed your livestock, you know, humans, which means the vampires eventually die out. I always found that plot point in the Dawnguard quest to be just incredibly stupid, because once the vampire lords, you know, turn off the sun, then everything dies and then they starve, you know. And plus, they don't even die when they go out in the sun. They just get mildly irritated. Like, if you're a vampire in Skyrim, you walk out in the sun, you get, like, minus 10 HP or something stupid. And even Serana can walk around in broad daylight, she just wears a hood. That's naive. Just end of the world and nothing else. Yeah, that seems so.
He used it as a weapon.
I think he's just dumb.
Fear in other.
But regardless of that plot point, it was probably my favorite quest in all of Skyrim. Serana's goated.
Peoples.
She could use a facelift though, which is why we have mods.
As a form of blackmail against the Empire. He settled into Skyrim, ruling the province as its Night Lord. There were no more wars or threats. Now there was only the forced peace that rested in darkness and fear.
Makes sense, makes sense. Alright, that was a pretty good narration.
What gave him power also took his soul. Vampiric blood cost the Dovahkiin the purest thing in his journey: heroism.
Rip.
Skyrim's savior became its conqueror, and the echo of his name, once a symbol of hope, became a whispered fear in the empty taverns of moonless nights.
That's actually a pretty interesting concept. Like, imagine after he saved the world from Alduin, he then becomes a vampire lord. But considering many games nowadays, bodies, vanilla, Skyrim were okay. Face not so much yet. It was even worse back in the OG Oblivion days, though. The Khajiits looked like potatoes.
For he who devoured the fate of dragons, now devoured the fate of men.
Very poetic. I like this narration. It was pretty nice. I'll definitely give him a like. Boop. Bro, why is my cursor just bugging out? Okay, whatever. That was pretty good. Let's see if my copy paste works. Nope, it still doesn't paste. Lol, oh well. The video will be in the Discord. Man, I remember the recent Marlin played hours after hours. How long ago was that? Like 20 years? It was a while ago, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, good video, clappies. Link will be in the description.